You know those stories where people say, if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't believe it? Yeah, this is one of those. Last Thanksgiving, I found out my mother-in-law tried to drug me. Not in some vague, exaggerated way, but literally, slipped something into my wine glass right there at the family table. Like a low-budget movie villain in a cardigan, but here's the kicker, I saw her do it, not because I was watching her closely, I wasn't. I was just reaching for the salt when I noticed her hand hover over my glass with this weird little flick of the wrist. And the smile she gave me right after? It wasn't warm or sweet. It was smug that I didn't say anything. Not right away. I just sat there, heart pounding, thinking, what the hell is going on now? My husband's family has never really liked me. I always chalked it up to culture clash or whatever. But this? This was another level. So I did what any self-respecting woman with a spine and a grudge would do. I calmly swapped my glass with her husband's when no one was looking, and then I waited. The next 30 minutes changed everything. Her husband, my father-in-law, started sweating badly. His face turned pale, then beet red. He slurred a little, tried to stand up, and collapsed right onto the turkey platter. People screamed. Someone called 911. My mother-in-law looked like she'd seen a ghost. And I just sat there, staring at her, holding my untouched glass like it was a damn trophy, and that's just where it starts, because what happened next? The hospital. The toxicology report. The secrets that spilled out like gravy from an overstuffed boat. And the revenge? It wasn't just petty. It was surgical. I didn't just get even, I ended her. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to the beginning. Before the dinner. Before the glass. Before I realized my husband's family wasn't just toxic, they were dangerous. You ever get that weird gut feeling that someone hates you, but they're just too polite to admit it? That was me with my mother-in-law, Doreen, from the very first day I met her. She made sure I knew I didn't belong. It was in the way she'd compliment my dress and then immediately add, that color's hard to pull off if you've got wide hips. Or how she'd say things like, you know, when Mark was with Emily, he was so calm. Emily. The ex. The family's golden girl. She was like a department store catalog came to life, blonde, soft-spoken, sorority queen vibes. Me? I was raised in a blue-collar home, worked 2 jobs through college, and I don't believe in sugarcoating crap. I guess that made me difficult. Doreen didn't like difficult, but for the sake of my husband, Mark, I played nice. We'd go to family dinners, bring the damn pumpkin pie, smile through the backhanded compliments. It was exhausting. Every gathering felt like walking barefoot on broken glass, painful, but you try to act normal so nobody notices the bleeding. It wasn't just Doreen. The whole vibe was fake. My father-in-law, Jerry, barely talked. Mark's sister, Lisa, was sweet to my face but cold behind my back. And then there was Mark himself, stuck in the middle, pretending everything was fine. He'd say, babe, she's just old-fashioned. Or, you're imagining it, she's not that bad. But deep down, I think even he knew something was off. Then came Thanksgiving. We were hosting this time. That was Doreen's idea, ironically. You've been married 2 years, it's time. You started taking on traditions. I swear, if she could have added a contract and blood signature to that invitation, she would have. So we cooked, cleaned, set the table like it was Martha Stewart's house. I even folded the napkins into those fancy triangle shapes that made me feel like I was doing origami at gunpoint. Doreen arrived in full judgmental glory. Pearls, sweater set, matching lipstick and nail polish like she walked out of a 1980s etiquette manual. Smells ambitious in here, she said when she walked in. I ignored it. Dinner started okay, if a little tense. Mark carved the turkey. Lisa kept nervously refilling everyone's glasses. Doreen criticized the stuffing recipe I'd gotten from her own son. Typical. Then, at one point, I got up to grab salt from the kitchen. As I returned to the table, I noticed Doreen's hand near my wine glass. It was just a second. A flick. Like she was dropping something in, or maybe just pretending to wipe something off. But then came that smile, that smug, tight-lipped, I know something you don't smile. The one she only ever gave me when she thought she'd won something. And suddenly, my stomach dropped. No way. She wouldn't. Would she? My fingers started tingling as I sat down. I kept staring at my wine glass, trying to decide if I was being crazy or if I'd just witnessed something unforgivable. I didn't want to make a scene. Not yet. So instead, I glanced at her. Doreen was cutting into her turkey like nothing had happened. She looked satisfied. Too satisfied. Then something clicked in me. If she had done something to my drink, I needed to know for sure. And I needed proof. But I couldn't exactly test it right there at the table. So I did the only thing that made sense in the moment. While everyone was distracted with their food, I reached over, cool as hell, and switched my glass with Jerry's. Now, you might think that was cruel. But I didn't know for certain what was in that drink. For all I knew, it was nothing. But I had to be sure. And I'll be honest, part of me wanted her to see what it felt like to watch someone she loved go through whatever she had planned for me. It didn't take long. Jerry was always quiet, kind of the background character in his own family. But about 20 minutes after he finished his second glass of wine, something started to change. First, he dropped his fork, then he said, bathroom, but it came out more like, bathroom. His eyes went glassy. Sweat started beading up on his forehead. He tried to push his chair back but misjudged and nearly fell. That's when Doreen panicked. Jerry? Jerry, she said, jumping up and rushing to his side. Mark followed suit, calling his dad's name while trying to help him up. Lisa screamed. I stood there, heart racing, watching it all unfold. Because in that moment, I knew she did it, and she knew I knew. Doreen looked right at me. Her face had drained of color. Her lips trembled. There wasn't just confusion in her eyes, there was guilt. Pure, unfiltered guilt. Someone call an ambulance, she shouted, but her voice cracked in a way I'd never heard before. I didn't say a word. I just calmly picked up my original glass, the one she'd tampered with, and poured it down the drain in the kitchen while everyone else was busy with Jerry. I made sure she saw that, too. The paramedics came. Jerry was semi-conscious but couldn't form sentences. They rushed him to the ER. Doreen rode in the ambulance, clutching his hand, crying like the innocent wife. But her hands were shaking too hard to be just fear. She looked like someone who had just been handed her own death sentence. And me? I followed Mark to the hospital in our car. I didn't say anything on the way. He was too focused on his dad to notice how tightly I was gripping the steering wheel. The hospital was chaos for a while. Nurses, IVs, forms. Finally, a doctor came out and told us that Jerry would be okay, thankfully, but his system had traces of a strong sedative. Something not normally found in wine. Something, added. Mark looked confused. A sedative? What the hell does that mean? But Doreen, she froze. The doctor continued. It could have been a mistake. Someone might have mixed it up with medication. But it's not something people accidentally consume. I watched Doreen like a hawk. And sure enough, her face twisted just slightly, like she was thinking too. Moves ahead in a chess game she thought she'd already won. She turned to the doctor, instantly in performance mode. Oh my God. That's horrible. Could it have come from his heart pills? He's on so many medications. But the doctor shook his head. We checked that. Nothing he's prescribed contains zolpidem. Zolpidem. That's when it hit me. She tried to knock me out. That's what it was, Ambien. I looked it up later. It can cause confusion, blackouts, even memory loss when mixed with alcohol. If I had drank that wine, I could have passed out right there at the table. Or in the car on the way home. Or worse, and I truly believe, that's what she wanted. I don't know if it was to humiliate me, hurt me, frame me, or something darker, but I stopped it. I stopped her, and now? I wasn't just angry. I was done playing nice, because the mask had slipped, and Doreen had no idea who she'd just messed with. They kept Jerry overnight for observation. Mark and I stayed in the waiting room, half asleep in stiff plastic chairs. Doreen never came out from his room. I imagine she couldn't look anyone in the eye. The next morning, a nurse handed Mark a folder with the toxicology report. He flipped through it quickly, his brow furrowing. Babe, this says Dad had a high dose of zolpidem in his system. Enough to knock someone out cold. I nodded slowly. Mark looked up at me. You don't think someone could have slipped it into his drink, do you? I stared at him, and I didn't blink. I don't think. I know. There was a beat of silence. He waited, maybe hoping I'd say something ridiculous like, just kidding. But instead, I leaned in and told him exactly what I saw. Doreen. By the glass. The wrist flick. The smug smile. And the quiet switch I made while she wasn't looking. Mark paled. Wait, you're saying she tried to drug you? Looks like it, I said calmly. But her precious husband got it instead. He ran his hand through his hair. No way. My mom wouldn't do that. I raised an eyebrow. You sure about that? Think real hard, Mark. She's insulted me every chance she gets. Undermined me. Tried to keep me out of your life. She hated that I was hosting this year. And now, she's out here spiking drinks like some suburban Bond villain. He didn't say anything. But I saw the truth breaking through. Cracking his perfect little family illusion like glass under pressure. I need to talk to her, he finally said. I shrugged. Be my guest. Just don't drink anything she gives you. Doreen came home later that day, clinging to Jerry like a damn martyr. She cried at the door, talking about how traumatized she was and how something must have gone terribly wrong with the wine. But Mark didn't buy it. He was distant. Cold. Even that night, he sat her down in our kitchen and asked her point blank, "Mom, did you drug my wife's wine?" Her face contorted instantly, but not with shock, no, with offense. "How dare you? After everything I've done for you? You believe her over your own mother?" Mark didn't flinch. "Just answer the question." She fumbled. "Of course not. What kind of monster do you think I am?" And then she turned to me, eyes blazing. "You set me up. You switched the glasses on purpose, didn't you? You wanted to make it look like I..." Her mouth stopped moving mid-sentence, because she realized what she'd just said. Mark caught it, too. His eyes widened. "Wait, you knew the glasses were switched?" Silence. You could hear the refrigerator humming. "That's how quiet it got." That's not what Doreen stammered. But it was too late. The truth was out. Mark stood up, completely silent. And for the first time since I'd met him, he looked at his mother like she was a stranger. "I think you should go," he said. Doreen's jaw dropped. "Go? You want me to leave?" "But Jerry, he needs me." "We'll bring him what he needs," Mark replied flatly. "But you're not welcome in this house anymore." The next few days were tense. Mark didn't say much, just kept to himself. Lisa called once to say she didn't want to get involved, which basically meant she knew what happened but was too cowardly to admit it. Jerry recovered quickly, thank God. The doctors cleared him, but they told him straight up, he was poisoned. And it wasn't accidental. When he asked Doreen what happened, she gave some sob story about confusion and vitamins. But Jerry wasn't dumb. He started staying with Mark's cousin just to rest, which I translated as, "I can't sleep next to that woman right now." Doreen began damage control. She texted me long, dramatic apologies full of lies and crocodile tears. She begged to meet. Claimed she just wanted to scare me, not hurt me. She said she lost control. That she felt replaced. That I'd taken her son. I didn't respond. Not once. But she wasn't done yet. One night, we got an anonymous call from Child Protective Services. Yep. CPS. Someone had called in a false report saying I was unstable and possibly drug abusing. In front of our 4-year-old son. You wanna guess who that someone was? They couldn't prove it, but we all knew. No one else had the motive. No one else had the nerve. She wanted to scare me. To punish me. To take something from me, but all she did was light a fuse, because I wasn't just going to protect my family. I was going to destroy hers. Asterisk. You don't come for my family and walk away clean. After the CPS stunt, I knew Doreen wouldn't stop. She was the kind of woman who couldn't stand losing, even if the game was her own son's marriage. And honestly, I was done playing defense. So I made a plan. First step, documentation. I gathered everything. I wrote down the events in detail. I printed the toxicology report from the hospital, Jerry's statement, even screenshots of Doreen's rambling apology texts. I created a timeline. Every time she tried to reach out, email, call, message, I saved it. Second step, allies. I reached out to Jerry. Quietly. I asked him one question, "Do you believe she did it?" He was silent for a long time, then he said, "Yes. And it scares the hell out of me." He agreed to give a written statement about what happened that night, what he remembered before blacking out, what she said afterward, and what he suspected. He also shared that Doreen had pulled similar manipulative stunts in the past, controlling his meds, hiding car keys for his safety, even pretending he was forgetful when he wasn't. She wasn't just toxic. She was dangerous. Third step. Reputation. Doreen was vice president of the local women's charity league. She loved throwing her title around like it made her royalty. But those types? They care more about image than anything. So I drafted an anonymous email, with attachments. I sent it to the charity board, explaining that a senior member had allegedly attempted to drug her daughter-in-law at Thanksgiving, resulting in her husband being hospitalized instead. I didn't lie. I didn't accuse. I just laid out the timeline, the evidence, and let the facts speak for themselves. And oh, did they listen? 2 days later, Doreen was respectfully asked to resign. She tried to spin it as her taking a step back for family, but the damage was done. Whispers spread. Invitations stopped coming. The phone stopped ringing, but I wasn't done. Final step, public truth. I told our friends. My side of the family. The parents at our kids' preschool. Not in a gossipy way, but calmly, factually, and without exaggeration. I didn't smear her name. I simply told the truth. People believed me. Why? Because I didn't need drama to make her look bad. Her actions did that for me. Even Lisa, Mark's sister, called me one night, crying. She admitted she always suspected. Their mom had issues, but never thought she'd go that far. She needs help, she whispered. She needs consequences, I replied. And what about Mark? He stood by me. Watching the truth unravel destroyed something in him, this lifelong belief that his mom was just difficult, not malicious. But seeing it all laid out, what she almost did to me, what actually happened to his dad, made him realize that protecting her meant endangering everyone else. We cut her off entirely. No contact. No visits. No second chances. Thanksgiving the next year? We hosted again, this time with real family. Real laughter. Real peace. No poison in the wine, only closure.